I forgot to tell you.
We're live, baby. We are live. Facebook Live. Welcome, all of you. Oh, this is YouTube Live. You know, we're doing a YouTube Live once a month.
Woo-woo.
Woohoo. You rube. YouTube Live. Welcome, guys. Great to have you with us. We typically do a Facebook Live at this time every Tuesday. And so we decided to share the love, and so we're doing it on YouTube.
That's right.
And guys, we've got a lot of cool things to talk about. But first, got Robbie Wheaton from Wheaton Arms.
Hey, guys and girls.
And gals and other things. We've got Robbie Wheaton is a gunsmith, been a gunsmith for over 20 years, a lot of experience building custom 1911s, building precision bolt action rifles, and a lot of other stuff. And also has a really exceptional line of Glock aftermarket parts and accessories. And one thing we're going to talk about today is their new Q36 Space Comp, which I've done a review on this. Many of you have already seen it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And so also the walking encyclopedia of gun knowledge.
Open today for you guys.
So, and then Sarah Mack is hidden away monitoring comments and questions, which we will take questions in a few minutes. But we're going to talk a couple of things first. But one thing I do want to say is today's escapades are sponsored by USCCA. Guys, if you don't have some kind of legal protection and you depend on a firearm, it is essential for you to have some kind of legal protection. And I've been a member of USCCA. I know I say it sometimes 3. It's now going on 4 years. And guys, it is peace of mind. And if you ever get yourself in a situation where you need a firearm, you know, it's just important, especially in today's climate. So we'll have a link down below. It is an affiliate link, but we have a link down below. You can click on it. Very reasonable. It starts out at around less than $30 a month. Yep. And then you can go on up. We do the platinum because obviously because of what I do, I just want to make sure I have as much protection as possible. But those guys are awesome. So I just want to thank them. One thing we do, we have a couple of things that are new, and we're going to kind of bring that out first. One thing I do want to bring out is, and I went ahead and have the slide open to make sure that it isn't loaded. We have one of the Beretta, and this is not new as in new made. This was actually made back between 71 and 1985. It is the Beretta. It's the Beretta Model 76, 22 long rifle, and a target model. And this is from Classic Firearms. They got a lot of these. I have never seen them. I mean, I've seen them in pictures.
Right.
But I have never actually seen a Beretta Model 76, and this thing is incredible.
It looks like a brand new gun. It really does.
Yeah. And one thing about it, now, when you get surplus guns, of course, they're importing them from Italy. You know, there's going to be some variation in, you know, wear, different things. You can pick a hand select. They are, I think, $479 or something like that on the Classic Arms website. But I'll tell you this much. I mean, because I've already taken it out, and I just shot the fire out of it. And didn't have any problems, no malfunctions, nothing. And I was using some different type 22 loads. It just ran. And then the accuracy was exceptional. So this review is coming right up, but I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. Classic Firearms has a limited quantity. I mean, they have a decent quantity, but it is limited.
Yeah, those aren't going to last long.
And at $479, because you go to Gunbroker, they're $600-$700. And once they dry up, guys, they dry up. And that's one of the things about surplus firearms is that, you know, when they come in, when they're being imported, they usually come in a pretty large lot. So companies sell them at a reasonable price. And once they're gone, the price goes through the roof. And so, but this is something, you know, and it's based on the Model 70, which I have, and I'll show that during the review. But it just has this, it's actually a cast aluminum shroud on top. This thing is cool, and the disassembly is really weird.
Yeah,
but it's cool. It's easy. Actually.
It looks almost and feels almost like magnesium on the top of the gun. The whole barrel shroud and everything, the rib on the top, it feels like magnesium with the finish that it's got on it.
Did you know you can actually mount a scope? That's a rail for a scope mount.
Yep.
And I think there was actually a movie one time where they had it was a big scope like this. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's got a special rings and bases that it uses. But you know, windage and elevation adjustable rear sight. The
I think there are other options.
Interchangeable front sights.
Yeah.
Yep. For different width blades. Yep. Absolutely. Super cool pistol.
Yeah. I mean, it's elegant. It's just cool. It's a Beretta. I mean, and those guys, it's just a great pistol. I've had a lot of fun with it. And in between raindrops, we have had rain, and we have rain in the forecast for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of limiting the fun gun reviews.
Yeah. 6 to 8 inches this week is what they're predicting.
Yeah, we have a river that's running where there wasn't one before.
I had to bring my kayak just to get to the front door.
But here we are, ready to roll. Okay, we're gonna go into some questions, but yeah, check out Classic Firearms. They always have really cool things. They're not too far from me, so I do some things with them every once in a while. And Ben was nice enough to send this for this test. So anyway, sis, we don't have any questions. You guys don't have any questions. Now let me say this about questions. When especially even on Facebook Live, we get overloaded with questions, and we try to answer them. But the last time we did YouTube Live, we got just hammered. And so Sarah Mac's going to be good about keeping up with questions. But if she's not getting to your question, it's not because she's ignoring you. It's because there's just a huge list. Okay.
Mike Upchurch asked, what night sights do you recommend for a Glock 17?
We both agree on this. The night vision.
With an F, not a V.
Yeah, those are excellent sights. And what I really like about them for me is that, well, first, the front ring, they have you can get different colors to accentuate around the tritium. But what I really like is they have an increased
tritium
brightness. I started to say titanium brightness. I know you knew.
But,
thank you.
No, don't say titanium. It's tritium.
Don't say it. And actually, the company came out of Kamanga, which makes the tritium for lensatic compasses for the U.S. military. So this is not just some company that's just popped up.
Yep.
These guys have a lot of experience, and so they are excellent sights, and they are actually my choice. I used to put on now I've got different sights, and I like different ones. I like XS sights, the big dot sights, especially the older I get. But True Glow makes great fiber optic tritium. And then, of course, Trigicon. Those are just lasting. But I'll tell you, night vision.
Absolutely. My first choice as well.
Yeah.
Nullface asks, Such, Paul Harrell versus Gun Nuts Media.
I'll just say this. Paul Harrell is one of my heroes. I love Paul Harrell. I love his videos. The man knows so much. And even if he didn't, he's so freaking smart that he would get it pretty quickly. I'll just put it that way. I love Paul Harrell. I'm a huge fan. His videos, to me, have brought a whole new element to the YouTube gun community, and I'm a big fan. So, love Paul. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I got an M48 from Classic with horrible barrel rust and no rifling. Do I get a refund or try a different one?
Call them back. Find out. That's one thing. I mean, the guys at Classic, they'll do whatever they can. And again, guys, I'm telling you, we've gone up there before and opened up crates of just guns. But they're really good people. So give them a call, let them know what's going on. And they should be, they'll probably replace it for you. I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, but I'm just saying, they're really great to deal with. And it's like recently they had some of the VZ52, the VZ52 rifles in 7.62 by 4.5, which is a check round, and they got a bunch of them in. They had some earlier that were a lot higher price, and so when they got the new ones in, they said, "Look, if you paid a higher price for the ones that came in before, we'll give you store credit." So that's just the thing. Now, sometimes surplus firearms, again, they're just what they are.
Yeah,
and
it can be the guns come in a lot of times packed in cosmoline. And, you get a lot of cosmoline in the bore. Right. Unless you strip all that cosmoline out and completely clean that firearm, you really don't know what you have with the bore. It could be a pristine barrel. It could be foggy, or it could be full of rust, and you really just don't know until you clean one out and really look at it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's just an inside about it is they got a bunch of firearms from Ethiopia. Now you can imagine. And when they got them in, they were like, okay, these things are so dirty and so just whatever. Not that they were shot a lot. They just poorly stored probably. They sent them to James River Armory for arsenal refinish.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff that, they'll do. Mm-hmm. But check them out. I think they'll help you.
Robin Brower asks, "Hey Such, would you carry a modded gun or stock gun? Which and why?"
I prefer a stock to a point. I definitely want to night sights to me. Now Robbie's funny. He doesn't really care for night sights because he'll put a light on his gun. But for me, I don't really carry a gun, conceal carry. So if I'm at night, I like to have night sights. That is one of the first things I'll change on any firearm. But I'll tell you, and I've been slow to do this in the past, but I put one of the Wheaton Arms flat face triggers in my Glocks because I'm going to tell you what, that is an incredible trigger. I'm not so worried about the legal ramifications. You know, some people, get into that. I know Masad Ayub talked about this a long time ago about doing mods to your guns. But, to typically, at least here, if you're in a concealed carry, if you're a concealed carry holder and you get into an altercation, they don't, unless there's some complications, unless you're like your brother-in-law and y'all been in a big fight and he came back and you shot him. That's bad stuff. That's where things can get kind of hairy. But in a typical straight up self-defense situation, unless you're in a very liberal state, and it is according to where you are, would you agree?
Yeah.
But,
in most cases, the law is in your favor for self-defense. And, I've always looked at it, and even in some cases that I've testified as an expert witness in, my rule of thumb has always been, it doesn't matter if the gun's got a 1 ounce trigger or a 20-pound trigger. I drew it to protect myself and defend my life.
Right.
And, that generally just squelches any kind of argument that the prosecution may have with any kind of mods that have been done to the gun.
Right.
Because they definitely don't want to go down that road and be like, well, so that so far, every case I've ever testified in, that has been the one and only question, and that has been the end of it when I answer it with that.
Right. But those are the only 2 mods that I will do to a carry gun.
Yep.
Or Talon Grip. I put Talon Grips on. That's not really a mod. That just gives you better grip.
It's kind of like me. I replaced the trigger in mine. I replaced the sights on mine. I stipple the grip and undercut the trigger guard just so it fits better in my hand.
Right.
Some little things like that. I replaced the barrels in all of mine as well with our Wheaton Arms barrels and our guide rods. Some people do, some people don't, but that's me personally, what I enjoy and what I like with my carry guns.
Right.
Richard Lee asked, "Will you review the RX Delta?"
Yes, I would like to. And in fact, I got a message from somebody talking about a T&E for that, but I haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really would, because I think that's an exceptional. I love RX already. I mean, Rex Zero firearms are top quality.
Yeah.
So I really would like to get a hold of one. It's just a matter of when, or, like I like to say, too many guns, not enough funds.
Seth Odom asks, "Beretta M9A3 or the Beretta 92X?" Thanks.
Ooh. I had the M9A3, and it is incredible.
Yeah.
I have not shot the M9X. I've seen it. So really, what I love about, and I'm sure it's the same, it's got the different grip, more straighter grip angle and things like that. I think either one of those would be an excellent choice. Do you have anything?
I don't have any experience at all with the M9X either.
Yeah.
But the A3 it's a great shooting pistol.
Yes, it is. That's a tough one to beat. That's a beautiful handgun.
Ram asks, "Canic Firearms, your thoughts, please. I just purchased the Elite Combat thanks to your review. However, should I get a Holosun or Trijicon Red Dot?"
Well, that's Gordon, if you want to spend a lot of money.
I tell you, I think the Holosun for especially for the price point is one of the best red dots out there for the money.
Holosun's making some great red dots.
Yep.
Now, me personally, just what if it's just me and this is what I carry, I carry the Trijicon RMR. I just do. I like
prefer
it.
The Holosun with the larger lens.
Yeah.
So I think you can, especially initially with that larger lens, it's easier to pick it up when you draw the pistol. You can pick the dot up on the lens faster. With the Trijicon, it really takes a lot of repetition drawing that pistol to get the dot to present properly.
Right.
Because it is a completely different draw stroke.
Right.
So I like the larger lens in the Holosun, and the reliability's been there with the Holosun too. So, that for me, Holosun is the way to go.
Well, see, the difference with me is I've taken the RMRs and I have abused them and torture tested them.
And you've shot a lot with them, so you've got a lot of experience drawing those out of the holster and presenting, and the dot comes up for you immediately because you've shot so much with them.
Well, here's the thing about red dots on your handgun, and this is really important because the first time I did it, In fact, it was Curtis at VSO Gun Channel. We were down at some Iraq veteran deal or something. And, he said, here, check this out. And I took it and there was a reflection toward the bottom. And I'm sitting there missing the steel over and over. It's the first time I'd met Curtis too. And I said, okay, hold on. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. And then, so here's the thing about the red dot. When you draw your firearm, you got to it's like you're looking over your sights. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember that because a lot of people, when they pull their gun up, they're looking for the dot.
Yep.
It's where it should be right where your sights are. It should co-witness with your sights. So when you pick it up in that natural point of aim, it should be right there. But you really, if you're going to put some kind of red dot on your gun, you need to practice.
You got to train
what it is. Yeah, you need to train with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rumi Tor asks, long barrel double 12 gauge or short barrel 12 gauge, which one is good?
It's according to what you're going to use it for.
Yep.
If you're going to use it for home defense, short barrel, it makes it easier to maneuver. That's the big thing. If you're going to go out and shoot skeet or you're going to go hunting, you need the long barrel. So really it's two purposes.
Or if it's got a red dot on it and it's got interchangeable choke tubes, the short barrel is just as effective as the long barrel, even for shooting skeet and hunting.
Right.
So because you can adjust your pattern with the choke tubes, and then you don't have the long barrel for the front sight out there, but you do have the red dot that you can. It's easy to shoot skeet with the red dot.
So which one would you carry if we were going to go tomorrow and you had your choice? Which would you pick?
If we're going to shoot skeet tomorrow, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of depends on how I felt when I woke up that morning.
I would just feel more confident with a longer barrel just because I would. Not necessarily based on fact, but that's just what I do.
But yeah, like you said, you're exactly right. For home defense and stuff, yeah, the short barrel is going to be so much easier and maneuverable inside a house.
Right.
And then you've got some intermediate barrel lengths as well, like the 20 to 22 inch, which is really good for hunting, target shooting, as well as home defense.
Right.
So you've got some intermediates that you can look at as well.
Yeah, it's really according to what you're going to use it for.
Yep.
Rockford F-150 base asks, who makes an IWB holster for a SD9VE with a Crimson Trace rail light? Please help. I've looked everywhere, even all my local shops.
I mean, there should be some because I would check out G-Code is one of the best Kydex holster makers out there.
I was going to say G-Code, Raven Concealment. Those would be a couple that I would look at. Blade Tech is another one.
Is a good one.
That even if they don't offer it as a commercial option, it may be something that they'll custom make for you. It may take like 6 or 8 weeks, but a lot of times they'll build a custom option for you if they don't have it in stock.
Now, Black Point Tactical's one that makes a lot of holsters that fit the O-lights. A lot of different O-lights. There's a number of different. Of course, there's things that become so popular it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one that's kind of tough. But yeah, I mean the Smith & Wesson SVE, I mean those are very popular.
Yeah.
And of course with Crimson Trace or any of your normal weapons lights, I don't know why you would have a lot of trouble finding one. You can Google it sometimes and it'll come up.
Yeah. One of those companies should have a solution for you though.
Jeremy Doman asks, what are your thoughts on the Zagana PX9?
The Zagana PX9. Well, my thoughts are I don't even have a thought because I don't have any experience with it. So, you know anything about it?
I don't. Now I can say this as far as thoughts on a few different imported firearms. The one thing that you always need to be careful of with imported firearms are parts availability. If the gun's coming into the country, it's a new firearm that they've just started importing. You want to make sure that you're going to be able to get replacement parts for that firearm and store some replacement parts for that firearm in case anything ever breaks. What I see a lot of times with these imported firearms, they come in, they look really cool, they're super cheap. You pick it up 2 years later, the gun breaks, the company's out of business or they've stopped importing them, and you can't get replacement parts, and now you've got a paperweight.
Right.
Andrew Cahoon asks, what do you think about the MCK conversion kits as a budget long gun? Thanks.
MCK conversion kits. Yeah, they give us some tough ones today.
I've got nothing. I'm going to have to Google that one.
Now, if you're looking for a 22 conversion kit, CMMG to me is like the benchmark for me. I really like their kits. They really are very reliable. While Robbie's kind of looking that up, we can move on.
Okay. Such, do you know Black Scout Survival? And if you do, what do you think of him and his channel?
I think he's got a great channel. I don't know him personally, but I've watched a ton of his videos. In fact, it was funny. One time I even thought that he might live near to me, but I don't think so. I think he lives more south.
So those are like the micro-ronies.
Oh,
The MCK. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know about those.
Yep.
For some reason, when you said conversion kit, it just kind of.
Yep.
But I love Black Scout Survival. Great guy, seems to be. I don't know him, but he puts out a lot of great content.
Yeah, and the CAA Roni kits they're great. We've played with a bunch of them, used a bunch of them. I built some SBRs for customers on them, and they're tremendous. So
Yeah,
I would highly recommend it.
They're fun. I mean, they're really fun. Now, if you're really looking, especially, like for your Glock, if you're looking for a funky type conversion kit, the Flux Brace, it's just more compact. You can just hit the button, that thing pops out, and it's just like the same thing. So
definitely a lot less invasive as far as installation and
it's very streamlined.
Yeah,
but yet you got the capability of that extended point.
I tell you, one of the things with the CAA, the micro Ronies and stuff that I don't like is the way the handguard's designed. You can't put a suppressor on it that recesses inside the handguard. So that's one complaint that I've always had with it. I wish that they would open the handguard up a little bit so you could run a can on it.
Right.
So I think it'd make it a lot more versatile.
Can't you use a Dremel?
Even then, there's still not enough room. I've looked at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have.
Imagine Set Press asked, any opinion on Trojan firearms?
Trojan firearms. These guys are being tough today. Trojan firearms. I don't know of Trojan firearms. I know the Trojan horse, but and I guess Trojan would come out of Turkey because that's where the original Troy was. But Robbie's going to look it up. So, and maybe we may do like we just did with the CCA and the. Oh, there are ARs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with them. One thing about it is, especially with AR-15s, is there are a load of companies out there.
Yeah.
The big thing is to me, and this is what I always do when I'm looking for an AR-15 or looking for any kind of parts, is I look to see what they have listed for the specs. And the more information they have listed for specs, like 7075 T6 aluminum, the 9310 Carpenter steel, the chrome moly barrels, or are they hammer forged, or, look through the details. And, typically, as long as it's, because most of these guys have their firearms, but they're getting parts from other places.
Yes.
So I know it's funny, Palmetto State Armory makes 2,000 AR-15 barrels a day. I mean, they make them. I've been to their facility, and they're just good quality. And most people don't even realize it. And they're making them for other companies as well, which a lot of barrel companies do that. So sorry to not give you something specific, but definitely look through. And two, look at the reviews, see what people are saying.
Fresno Cali Boy asks, what do you think of the FN 509 midsize?
Well, I have the FN 509 tactical compact right here. This has just been released. In fact, I think Coleon Noir actually revealed it a little ahead of time. This was supposed to come out today, but the 509 is excellent. I'll just put it that way. It's an excellent gun. The compact here, what's really cool about it is it comes with it a 24-round magazine, and it comes with a 15-round magazine. I have the standard 509 tactical full size, and I'll tell you, this thing is sweet. Threaded barrel, hammer forged barrel, stainless steel, the beautiful color on it. I mean, I love that. Some people, like the black, which I'm sure they offer this in the black as well. But this is going to be something we're doing for the Father's Day gift guide on GetZone.com. If you've never checked out GetZone, and you can go to our website, suitsgear.com, and we have a list of contraband videos, which I have a lot of builds. We have a lot of different armor type videos that YouTube would no longer allow us to have. GetZone got in touch with me and said, hey, we'll host those videos. So if you want to see those, go over to GetZone. They are a Second Amendment friendly website. And they're one of the largest outdoor hunting gun channels or gun platforms out in the world. So it's really cool, but it's funny how sometimes people don't really know about it. But we do a lot of exclusives over on GetZone. I don't know how I got into that, but anyway, yeah, the 509 tactical is excellent. The 509 standard is excellent, but if you want to upgrade, the tactical, especially in the compact, is sweet.
Louis Cartagena asks, question,
Louis?
I've been a SIG guy, but I've been looking at a Canic and a Masada. I've seen both of your reviews, but if you had to choose one, which one would you choose?
Okay, Canic, huge fan of Canic. Huge fan. The quality of that handgun matches any major handgun brand out there. I mean, the finish, the reliability, the accuracy, it's just top notch.
Spare parts availability now.
Spare parts, yeah, they do all that. It's just an exceptional firearm.
Yep.
I would encourage anyone or recommend that to anyone because the price is just way below its pay grade. The Masada, it's IWI. It's just exceptional quality. I love it. So
I like the look and the feel of the ergonomics of the Masada. It really fits my hand well. It points well. It shoots well. It's a little more expensive than the Canic.
But it has a adapter plate built in.
Yep.
I mean, there's some things
it's got
about
some
it.
features. It absolutely has some features that justify the price point.
And it's still reasonable. It's still more reasonable than most out there.
That's right. Absolutely. So, if I had to choose between one, my choice would probably be the Masada, just because I really like personally the way the gun feels and points in my hand. But the Canic it's not far behind.
No,
I mean,
it's toss up. It's a toss up. I would probably go with the Masada just because of the Tavor and the Galil and everything. Just knowing what those guys have put together for a long time. And Israel doesn't play around. So I would probably lean a little more toward it, but it would be still a tough decision because that Canic TP9 Elite,
it's a great pistol.
I just like their simple model. It's got a black nitride finish on it. It is really nice. I really like that handgun. So it would be a toss up. It'd be a hard decision. Bless you.
Thank you.
Woo. But I think I think either one would be exceptional to go with.
Claudio Bermudez asked, 380 for self-defense?
Sure. There's some really good self-defense ammo out there. And
I've always said it's better than a rock.
Well, I think it's much better. Much better. I mean, Hornady critical defense in that thing because of that little plastic end or the rubber end or whatever it is that helps allow that to feed. And that's Robbie and I's top self-defense round.
Absolutely. Well, and you've got the what is it? The SIG 238 in 380. Super easy to rack the slide on it. Yeah. You've got the Smith & Wesson EZ, another 380 that's super easy to rack the slide on.
Right.
Very soft recoiling, great triggers on both of them. They're just a tremendous. Both of those are tremendous pistols. Accurate, reliable, everything that you want in a self-defense gun. Light recoiling, easy to manipulate, all the components on it. So, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. My mother depends on a 380 ACP. So, yeah, I'm definitely a fan. And I carry a 380 ACP. If I really want to be super concealed,
that's right.
That's one that I carry on occasion. I typically carry 9mm, though.
Richard O'Brien asked, having trouble deciding between CZP 10C, 509 midsize, and MP 2.0 compact. Which comes best out of the box and has the best aftermarket parts available, like holsters and sights?
I would say probably the Smith & Wesson as far as holster sights. I mean, but I think all the others are definitely right there with it. But I just think that Smith & Wesson would have an edge in that department.
A little bit, yeah, as of right now. But I would say that within 6 months to a year, the P10C will be equal to, if not surpassed, the M&P as far as aftermarket parts and accessories.
The P10 series, the trigger on that thing is just, at least ours, the ones we've had, have been phenomenal. Better than the Walther PPQ for us.
Great pointing, great shooting pistol. The P10C would be my choice, hands down. And there are already aftermarket sights available for the P10C.
Oh yeah, there's
holsters available for it, and there's aftermarket triggers that are available and coming. Wink, wink.
Oh, I see where we're going. Now, let me say this though. And one thing about the FN is I like the aggressive texturing on the FN. And it's just a great pointable, shootable firearm. I mean, it really is. To me, FN is one of the most underrated gun companies out there, except for their SCAR. And, people get all fired up about that. But their handgun line is exceptional. Now, what I love about the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is the nitride finish or the melanite finish they put on their firearm. There's something about that I just go, oh, I love that. I mean, I just do. I just love it. And so it's funny because I'm going to just give you some just personal, like emotional feelings about it. This is nothing to do with technical. I love the slide of the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. I just love it. I love the finish. I mean, it's a great shooting gun. It is fairly aggressive. But I think that may be one thing that sometimes can be too aggressive. Whereas with the FN, I've always liked how aggressive they make it, and yet it's comfortable. You feel like you've really got it in your hand.
It just doesn't have the aftermarket support that the other two already have.
Yeah, but they are here in South Carolina, so you might be able to get some parts and stuff. But then again, when it comes to the P10C, it is a CZ, and CZs have a very special place for me. The trigger is phenomenal. So again, and here's the thing, guys, honestly, it is all about personal preference. And that's the reason why I wanted to kind of bring those three things out.
Sure.
It's all about what you like. All three of those are going to serve you extremely well. All three. And that's the thing. There are very few modern quality firearm companies that aren't really pretty much on the same level.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you get the VP9, which I love the VP9, the Glock, and I'm a big fan of the new Gen 5. I love that. So there's a lot of firearms across the board that are just exceptional.
Well, it's one of those that if you've got an indoor range close by and you can get the opportunity to go and shoot each of those firearms and really see which one works the best for you, that's what I always recommend. Put it in your hands, put some rounds through it, and to see what fits you the best. Because what I love is personal to me, and what Don loves is personal to him, and what works for you may not be something that either one of us really choose.
Well, sometimes it's just based on experience.
That's right.
I mean, we've both been shooting Glocks for so long.
Yep.
And 1911s.
And 1911s, absolutely.
So our experience, this, like I tell people, I carry a Glock. It is not the most ergonomic firearm out there. I'll pick up something else and go, oh my gosh, this thing, it feels so good. My bedside gun at this point right now, I change them out all the time. But for the HK P30 is one of the most incredible feeling firearms in your hand. I mean, and it's just like the VP9. I mean, the ergonomics is just superior. But I've invested so many thousands of rounds through the Glocks so my perception and my opinion is going to be based on that. Your perception and opinion may be based on something totally different. So make sure that when you go out to your gun shop, that's why a lot of times, guys, I'm not like, this is the gun you need to buy.
That's right.
I don't like this about this one. I don't like that. I like this. You know what? That's a bunch of bull crap. Yeah, you can glean some information from it, but honestly, it's all up to you. And that's why when I talk about guns and people go, you always talk positive about these guns. Because the Suits channel, let's just talk about what I like, and that's all. Glock, AR-15, M14. And then what else am I going to, if that's my choices,
flamethrowers
coming up. But anyway, that's the thing, guys, is make sure you don't get into people's personal preferences when listen to it. Yeah, for sure. Listen to it. It's good advice, but don't lock into their personal preference.
That's right.
Kenny Barnes asks,
pull it together, Sarah Matt.
Should I practice with fake bullets my husband purchased for me, or is it best to practice with the real thing? I have been getting mixed reviews, and I truly want to know from an expert.
Uh-oh. We better call one in. Okay. Let me tell you this. Number one, I would suggest dry fire practice with your firearm, and using snap caps or whatever is fine. You don't really have to, because they're based on the way the firing pin's set up. You're not going to damage it.
That's right. Unless it's a rim fire. Rim fire is the only thing that you don't want to dry fire.
So, or some like the CZ52, they have brittle firing pins, so you don't want to dry fire that a lot. But really, the best practice in the world is setting up a target, making sure that you have ammunition separated. You want to put and if you want to use snap caps to make sure, you can do that. And then bring it up and point it at a target and pull the trigger. And rack it and pull the trigger. and you'll start to get your trigger control. You'll learn where your different functions are. You'll know how to rack the slide, to drop the magazine, do all those things. That is a vital part of training. I've been doing that for years.
Yep.
And dry fire, in fact, I have a video about it, dry fire practice and how important that is. When you go to the range, if you want to do some dry fire practice, that's great. And you want to, use your dummy rounds or whatever you're using.
I tell you what I like the dummy rounds for at the range is weapon manipulation drills. So I'll mix a dummy round in when I'm loading my magazine. I'll just thumb them in, grab one, thumb it in. And then when I'm shooting my pistol and I have a malfunction, then it forces me to have to clear that malfunction. So whether it's a stovepipe or whether I pull the trigger, nothing happens, then I go into my immediate action drill, tap, rack, bang, clear the gun, make sure the round's out of the chamber, next round's in, and then I can go back to firing.
Right.
So it's a good way to train weapon manipulation drills while you're at the range as well.
Yeah, slipping a dummy round into a magazine. We used to do that with South Carolina Gun School. We used to do a lot of training with those guys, and that was one of their things is you load in a dummy round. And I'm going to tell you, you go click, and then you've got to go. You just go immediately into what you need to do.
Right.
But honestly, there's nothing that substitutes live firing, though. You need to be able to fire it because you need to understand the muzzle blast, the noise,
That's right,
the recoil. So I think it's a good mix of both. Plus, dry firing is cheap. Sometimes you can get laser, different laser inserts that are really good. There's a lot of different training things, but I think a mixture of both is important.
And one of the biggest benefits I've found of dry firing is you see what the sights are doing when you pull the trigger.
Right.
When you're shooting the gun, a lot of times because of the recoil of the gun, you don't see what the sights actually do. You don't see them. You don't see you're jerking the trigger and the sights dip right or left or low. So when you're dry firing, it allows you to see a lot of those things that you don't normally see under recoil with a firearm.
Right.
So it helps you to become more proficient with watching your sights, seeing what the sights are doing, making sure as you pull the trigger that you're not disrupting the sights or disturbing the sights.
Right.
So dry firing is so important.
And two, when I pull the trigger on this, I know where it's going to break. If I'm practicing that a lot, then when I pick up the handgun, I'm not like, when's it going to happen? Yeah. So anyway, now speaking of which, and we're going to get back to questions in a second, but I want to talk about the Q36 Space Comp by Wheaton Arms. This is a tiny, I've just done the review. You can check it out on YouTube, but this thing is super lightweight. I mean, it's 0.4 ounces. And what's great about it is you can put it on your handgun and it's small. It only adds a ½ inch to the length of the barrel because it threads on. And it gives you some extra recoil management and just really helps with shooting. But you can also put this on your PC9 carbine or PC9 or any kind of pistol caliber carbine or pistol. And so this to me, it was funny because I had been looking, and we talked about this on Facebook the other day. I've been looking and looking. I was wanting to get something that didn't look huge and gangly and all that. And so I bought a couple that were kind of twice that size. Bought them. And I got them in. And then Robbie told me the next day, he goes, I just got them in. Robbie goes, oh, yeah, I've got this new comp. Check this out. And this thing is phenomenal. So anyway, I just want to bring that up. These are now on sale, and they're selling like freaking crazy.
Yep. Yes, they are.
And you can go to Gun Pro Deals as well. Nate at Gun Pro Deals is carrying them. And Aim Surplus, not Aim Surplus, Primary Arms is going to be carrying your products.
They are. Yep.
So I'm telling you, Robbie's making some really great products, and a lot of people, I mean, they are extremely popular.
Yeah, we're really, really proud to announce that Primary Arms is going to be carrying all of our stuff, and that Gun Pro Deals is carrying all of our stuff now as well.
Yeah,
so
I mean that means
awesome.
that says a lot about his products.
Steve Gibson asked, "What is your opinion on a good gun safe?"
Personally, if you want something that's fairly reasonable but really good quality, Liberty gun safes.
Yeah,
Liberty gun safes. I have some of the Cannons, and I'll tell you this: I had the door open, and a mouse got into my safe. A mouse, didn't know it. Closed the door. Well, something happened where it wouldn't open because I had an electronic opener. I was like, nothing's happening, nothing. So I had to call a guy here to get into the safe. And I'm saying this we're fixing that. We actually had to reinforce it. Yep. He took a cordless drill. Now he knew because I told him exactly where to drill, and he went zip, clunk, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
So make sure that if you do, because sometimes cannons, I have another cannon that's a really big one that has a reinforced plate. And so make sure, number one, that you have some reinforcement behind that lock, because otherwise it's just a lock box.
Yeah, there needs to be hardened steel behind it for an anti-drill plate to keep someone with a, like you said, a cordless drill or or anything other than basically a mag drill from being able to drill it to be able to open the safe.
Right. But I was honestly shocked. Liberty safes, just the quality, the finish. I mean, they're just exceptional. And I have 2 of them, and I love them. So I have a few safes.
Well, you know, safes are kind of like optics. Yeah, I think you buy as much as you can afford, and a lot of times you may spend more on an optic than you do on a rifle because you got to be able to see what you're going to shoot at. With a safe, it's kind of the same way. Spend as much as you can afford because you want something that, when things get bad, whether it be a burglary or a house fire or whatever, is going to provide you with the highest level of protection that you can possibly get.
Right. And now you can go to a Browning safe, and those things are super expensive. And, you know, they're worth it. They're worth it if you want to put the money in.
Gadget Clerk asks, is the M&P 380 Shield EZ worth the money?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Especially with that super easy to rack slide. If you have an issue with racking a heavy recoil spring, it's worth it just for that. You know, the guns are great. They're reliable. It's got a good trigger on it. Some people complain about the grip safety. They're like, I just don't like the way it looks or whatever. It's a grip safety, you know. The gun can't fire unless you squeeze it and depress it. So, you know, it's a good, you know, for a deep concealed gun, that grip safety is a nice feature because it disables the pistol and it can't fire until you actually squeeze that grip safety. So I highly recommend it.
And really, it's marketed to people that have less experience. Yep. But honestly, even if you have a lot of experience, it's a great gun to have. But with that less experience, it kind of has some safeguards that are going to help.
Right.
But I am a huge fan of both the 380 and the 9mm. So, and I think Smith & Wesson hit it out of the ballpark. In fact, it was funny because Smith & Wesson actually called me about it. The guy that I deal with, he called me up. He said, what do you think about this idea? I said, I think it's awesome. And he sent it. I was like, this is incredible. So, I'm a big fan. I've been behind it from the beginning. Yep. And because here's the thing. I took my mom out to the gun show. I was going to pick her out a gun for her concealed carry. We're looking through. My mom has a little arthritis. She'll be 80 in a couple of years. And, of course, this has been a number of years ago when we did this. And honestly, I had in my mind what I thought she should get, but I was going to let her look at them. She couldn't pull the trigger, even on a revolver, double action Smith & Wesson model 24 or 640 or whatever. She could
640, 642.
She could not pull the trigger on it. And so we started looking, and then she couldn't really rack the slides on most of them.
Yep.
And so anyway, came up on a SIG 238, P238. Slide goes, drip, 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 drip. It was expensive, but she bought it. Honestly, I think I'd rather her have the Smith & Wesson M&P EZ because it's just a little bit larger for her hand. I think it's an excellent choice for especially those with less experience or elderly, less hand experience, or even females that haven't shot a lot.
Jeff Jones asks, any thoughts on Talon Grips?
Well, I'll tell you my thoughts on Talon Grips. This is hot, by the way. I've got it on my G43X with the Shield Arms 15-round magazine, and Talon Grips are excellent. I have been using Talon Grips for a long time.
And you know, I think for a low-cost alternative to stippling your pistol, if you don't want to modify it and don't want to stipple your gun, Talon Grips are a great option.
I see Robbie does stippling. He loves stippling. He uses them different ways. Me personally, you know, I just like the Talon Grips, and they last. I mean, these have been on here since I've gotten the gun pretty much, and they last for a long time. And then if you need to replace them, they're easy to replace. So, you know, definitely Talon Grips. I highly recommend Talon Grips, and it gives you that added grip ability to it. And I like the rubberized version more than I do.
I do too. The rubberized one's my favorite as well.
And I think I actually was introduced to Talon Grips by Hickok, because he really liked them. And I was like, let me check those out. So, big fan.
Increased gripability.
Yeah, increased gripability.
Smoking Joe asks,
hey, Joe.
What is the best kind of steel that you would want for an EDC working knife?
Man, it's funny because this morning I was looking at different steels. Now, a lot of times for a workhorse, and this is not actually the premium, but I like D2 steel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is just solid. But SV30, man, that's a great steel.
It kind of depends on what like you said, what you're going to be doing with it. There's some steels that are really, really good, but they're not easy to sharpen.
Right.
It takes a lot of work to get them sharp. Now they hold an edge once you get one, but it's difficult to get them sharp. There's other steels that are super easy to sharpen, and maybe it doesn't hold the edge quite as long, but it doesn't take any time to put a new edge back on it. So, it's kind of give and take with that. We want to find something that really suits your needs, and the environment that you're going to be working in. If you're in an environment that's got a lot of salt or a lot of sweat where the blade could rust, you want to get something that has a low carbon count in the steel, so it's not going to rust. So you got less maintenance with it. And then you got to look at different coatings and finishes on the blade as well for that same reason.
Well, it's like I believe it's the Essie knives. I believe they're CM154. That steel works best for a thicker blade.
Mm-hmm.
And heat treating has a lot to do with it because the K-bar is made from the same steel, but the Essie actually keeps an edge better, chips less able to chip.
Right, because of the thicker edge radius.
Right.
Yep.
So, really it has a lot to do with, being able to sharpen it because, if it gets too tough, it gets too strong, it will retain the edge longer, but it definitely will be harder to sharpen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you get the work sharp.
Chris Carmichael asked, "Hey, Such, do you like the M4A1?
The M4A1. Let me think about that for a minute. That just sounds so M4A1.
Just an AR.
Well, if you're talking, and you can clarify this if you can get on there, but the M4A1 would be, what I would consider like the AR-15 military style. What do you say? No. I know that can mean so many different things. If they have but as far as the AR-15 and the M4 conversion, I mean, the M4 version of it, of course, with the 16-inch barrel, or you can get the 14.5-inch and pin and weld a flash suppressor on it. That's my go-to gun. In fact, I don't have one. I have my BCM Recce up there, but I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So if not, clarify it.
Apple Pie asked, if you purchase ammo, does it have to be sent to an FFL? I'm clueless. No, you can order it directly according to your state.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
According to your state. Now, California, they've got a lot of, they kind of back and forth.
Right.
And they even have to have a background check. And there are some states that you do now, which is absolutely stupid. But if you live in a state, most states, and listen, you can go to a website that you can order ammo from, and they will say this and this. They'll list the states on what you can do.
Right.
So,
and generally, there's a requirement. You send a copy of your driver's license. You'll email a copy of your driver's license or a photo ID to prove that you're over 18 or over 21 years old, depending on what type of ammunition you're wanting to buy. And then they can ship it directly to your house.
Yeah, because I get ammo all the time. And Lucky Gunner's one that I buy from. Even PSA, which we have a local PSA here. I'll just go up and get it. But in fact, I just ordered a bunch of surplus ammo from SG Ammo and just sent it in. In fact, I don't want to say that. So, I just verified my age. I'll put it that way. And then it was no problem at all. It's just like shipping anything else.
Right.
NHS, Such, what did you do before YouTube?
Was there anything before YouTube? I'm going to tell you something. It's funny because I have my family was in the jewelry business. We made handmade custom jewelry. It's really probably one reason why I got really serious. I've always liked firearms and I've always liked to shoot, but it's one of the reasons why I got really serious about firearms is because, we carried a lot of expensive. I remember one time I had a 5-carat diamond in my pocket. It was a ring, and I wouldn't leave it at the shop because I was like, I just can't leave this at the shop. It's way more than I could. And I carried it and it was in my pocket. And I just remember the feeling of that. But, and I had a gun on me, but still, that's the one I did that for a long time. I had my own store for a number of years, and then went into a buddy of mine had a business, which is hilarious. We baked cookies. He baked cookies. And I went over there and started working with him because I'd sold my store, and I was just kind of overwhelmed with, so many hours of working. And so went to work for him and ended up, we sold that company to General Mills and actually baked, and you can find this on the Guinness Book of World Records. We baked the world's largest cookie. I believe it was in, my son Grant was born 2003. And we baked the world's largest cookie, and it's still the world's largest. It was 102 feet in diameter.
Wow.
And it actually ended up probably being the world's largest oven on top of that, because we had to bake it. We baked it outside. It was a massive deal. It was immaculate baking company. And I ended up being the vice president of the company at the time. And so, I have a varied past. And then when I left there, I went back to jewelry and then started my YouTube just on the side for kicks. That's why I named it Such and not the Gun Channel or whatever, it's just like Such. So there you go.
Christopher Snyder asks, I am a new gun owner and have a 380. I enjoy the different rounds available. Do you have a favorite for self-defense? I live in a condo.
If you're depending on that 380 for self-defense, and we've kind of talked about this a few times, I would look at getting some frangible type ammunition living in a condo. Just because bullets will travel through walls.
Yep.
But as far as my everyday self-defense ammo option, and Robbie and I both like this, the Hornady, I can never say that. The Hornady Critical Defense is one of the best, and mainly because of the way the cone comes together and the tip, it allows for really reliable feeding.
That's right.
And so we really like that round. But before you put frangible ammunition, and there's a number of different ones out there. I wish I could just tell you off the top of my head, but I can't. I would test it with my firearm. So carrying 380, that's what I would say. But my favorite handgun to carry is 9mm. I typically carry 9, but I feel confident carrying a 380 as well.
Josh H. asks, what is your opinion on the P320 M18?
I think it's excellent. I mean, the P320 it's just an excellent firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are you going to say about it? Go ahead. Tell us, Robbie. Tell us. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a good firearm. And with all of the, getting all the bugs and everything worked out of it, they had a few initial bugs with it, which is, you see that a lot with anything new, be it a car or firearms or whatever.
Except the Wheaton Arms Q36 space gun.
Well, a lot of research and development went into that.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
But I think with those guns, they did a good job with it. It's a good shooting gun. It's very soft shooting. There's a ton of aftermarket accessories available for it. There's a ton of factory aftermarket accessories available for it already.
Right.
With more stuff coming. With threaded barrels and different triggers, guide rod assemblies, different sights. There's a lot of options and a lot of different aftermarket accessories.
Well, you can change the frame out.
You can
change. You can get a barrel kit. You can change the slide out. I mean, you can do so much.
That's right. Shorter slide, shorter barrels, and everything works around that one modular insert that drops into the frame. They've got the new tungsten impregnated polymer frames,
right?
Which bring the gun up to like 42 or 43 ounces unloaded. It's crazy. But yeah,
I'd shoot you if I get this thing off the table.
That's one of the things that I really, really like about SIG and with the 320 series is the modularity of that particular firearm.
Yeah, especially if you live in a state that has a lot of restrictions. I mean, you can get the pistol, but to buy another one, you got to go through an act of Congress. I think that having that modular system is a huge advantage, because if you want to get another pistol, you can just order another color frame, you can order a different slide and barrel, and you can switch them out really quick. But yeah, the thing is, and one of the reasons why that the SIG P320 or the M17 or whatever, it's a military issued firearm, so it is going to have huge appeal over a lot of people. So I think that is also an advantage, that you're going to be able to see a lot of things with it. So, but it had its issues, but mine have been great, and I really like the pistol.
Cameron Davis asks, what's the best 9mm you would pick?
Glock
19.
Glock 19. Again, and if you weren't here earlier, I have invested, Robbie and I both, 100,000 plus rounds.
Easy.
Yeah. Yes, easy. I mean, I've done 1,000-round torture tests with Glocks just in 20 minutes. But yes, we've shot hundreds of thousands of rounds through Glocks, and we have a lot invested in the Glock.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the reason for our choice. It's not necessarily the best handgun out there.
Yeah, just a lot of trigger time behind that particular firearm. I mean, there's tons of 9mm that I like.
Yeah,
the CZ75s. I love the CZ75s.
the P10C.
I love STI 2011s.
Right.
Wide body 1911 guns. Like I said,
For concealed carry or for carrying.
Yep. But for a all around do everything gun, the Glock 19 is my choice.
Yeah. Now, again, and we kind of mentioned this earlier, there are a huge amount of choices out there. It is honestly important for you to get your hand on one, go into a gun shop, check the way you feel, because my preferences are dictated over my experience. So, and same thing with Robbie. We handle a lot of guns. We handle a lot of, and there are times where I'll pick up guns and I'll go, ooh, I like this. This feels better than the Glock. And then I strap my Glock on.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely.
I think a lot of the things with the Glock is just the comfort, the reliability. You know when you pick the gun up that it's going to work.
Right. And it's simple.
It is very, very simple.
There's nothing on the side. It's like
that's one of the things with the Glock that I felt like it had a huge advantage over the M19 going into the military trials, was the simplicity of the firearm, the ease of maintenance, field stripping, parts replacement. I felt like Glock had a huge edge over SIG in that department.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why it really surprised me when SIG won that contract over Glock, was just because of the simplicity of the design of the Glock and the ease of maintenance with it in the field.
Well, one thing and if you haven't seen it, we did a video, Robbie and I, about the ultimate survival handgun, and it was the Glock. And we list the reasons why we think that. Not that the Glock's a better handgun, but that the Glock, anyone can take a Glock and break it completely down and put it right back together again, or you can get parts, you can do whatever. So, and then Robbie goes through, being a gunsmith for over 20 years, goes through the different parts that can possibly break on the Glock and tries to keep survival kits in, but sometimes because of the demand, they sell a lot, but Glock parts typically don't break.
Yeah.
So anyway. But that again is, I'm not a salesman for Glock. That's not the reason why I talk about it. In fact, anytime Glock will invite me down to their place, but anything I want, I pay for it, I buy it, I do whatever. And so there's a lot of good choices out there. Don't just go by what one person, because of our experience, thinks.
That's right. See what works best for you.
Yes.
Chris Ferguson asks, have you checked out Federal's new 380 load that met government penetration test?
No, but that would be interesting.
I've seen the results and I've read the studies and everything on the ammunition, but I don't have any personal experience with it yet.
Yeah, that would be something to check out, especially for 380. Okay, we're getting close to time, so we need to kind of start winding things down. Guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. We always try to have a lot of fun, but we also try to give you guys information.
Thanks for all the questions.
Yeah, a lot
awesome
of great
questions.
A couple of things I do want to mention. Check out the Wheaton Arms Q36 Space Comp for your pistol, for your PC9 or PC carbine, or whatever. Anything that half by 28, and it's just excellent.
Yeah, and for those of you that asked the question that maybe we didn't get to, it's not because we didn't want to answer your question. There's just so many sometimes that we just can't get to all of them. And
there were some that I didn't want to answer. Just kidding.
But thank you all for all of your questions today. We really appreciate you watching and asking your questions.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. And also, I want to thank you, United States Concealed Carry Association, USCCA, for sponsoring or being a sponsor of the video. And guys, again, if you don't have legal protection, you need to have some kind of protection if you're carrying a firearm, or even if you have it for home defense, or the red flag laws. They also help with that. If you get into a situation, the USCCA will help, and it is just an incredible resource. I've been a member for 4 years. I am a platinum member. Not only that, my wife, because I can get a discount on her rate, and Sarah Max. We really believe in USCCA. Way before I started talking about them on video, I mean, I should have done something way earlier.
Yeah.
So make sure, and there are others out there, check them out. But for me, USCCA is great. We'll have a link down below in the description. You can click on it and check it out. We'll also have a link to Robbie's website at wheatonarms.com down in the description as well. No, we won't. No, we won't. No, we won't. This is YouTube. If we're on Facebook, we can do it. But just go to wheatonarms.com. Yeah. I know it's real difficult, but you can do it. I believe it. You can do it. And also, I just want to bring up again the classic firearms Beretta Model 76 target pistol, $479. Guys, these things will go. And my review is coming up. In fact, I don't think it's raining right now, so it may be up by tonight.
Nice.
Because I really wanted to get that one done. And then again, the 509 FN 509 Compact Tactical. That video is also coming. Also to get on Father's Day gift guide, big, huge deal. Check out WheatonArms.com. We really appreciate Robbie for being here. It's always not only very informative, but, you know, it's a lot of crazy fun. That's why we call it escapades.
You're going to give a plug for your newsletter.
Newsletter, guys. Thank you, Robbie. Go to Wheaton Arms. Go to suchgear.com. Sign up for the newsletter. And we've sent out our first one in a long time. We're starting to do things. We've got upcoming reviews, upcoming things that are happening. A lot of times discounts and solid things that you can find. And also, I know Robbie runs some specials on his Wheaton Arms products there. So check that out, and we'll be getting the newsletter out right away. So just sign up. All you got to do is just sign up for the newsletter. We don't send out a bunch of crap. We only send the newsletter, and really appreciate it. Also, big thanks to Sarah Mack. She set everything up. She puts up with us. She keeps us straight, and we really do appreciate it.
The only adult in the room.
Yes. So anyway, thanks a million, guys. Man, I'm having a rough time.
Come on, you can do it, Don.
I can do it. Be strong. Be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.